Good evening and welcome to Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa. My name is Wale Agbede, back on your screen for another interesting edition of the show. We're airing live from our studios in Lagos, and it promises to be packed this beautiful Tuesday evening. We have Super Eagles players on the menu, Sari Kumar, with some updates with regards to when he's scheduled to get back on the field to do what he does best. Of course, playing for Real Sociedad now, having joined them in what was a really big deal that last summer a lot of Nigerians were excited about. He did move for about 20 million euros, 25 million euros if you add all the additional add-ons, that were included in the deal. But unfortunately, suffered an anterior cruciate ligament injury just in his third game at the start of the season. We also do have tennis on the menu today, and Murray announcing that he will not be at Roland Garros to participate in the second Grand Slam of the season, joining some other big hitters like Rafael Nadal and, of course, Nick Kyrgios, who have already both announced that they will not be in France. Anyway, we also do have a golf on the menu. Tiger Woods also backing out of the US Open due to injury. And we do have a guest lined up today to come and review what we've just seen in what was an abridged domestic league right here in Nigeria with the Nigeria Premier Football League, which was divided into two groups of 10 teams each. Now we have 6 teams who have relegated. We have 4 teams, I beg your pardon, who are relegated, and 6 teams who will now be going into the championship round, which has been tagged the Super 6 to determine which team will be champion of the Nigeria Premier Football League. We did see players who burst onto the scene, players who scored goals, goalkeepers who kept them out, and of course managers who wrote their names in the history of the 2022-2023 season. So yes, it is. It promises to be a packed show today, and that's where we'll be starting from. I think that we do have our guest lined up already, and with us. So we'll just start there. Bender Insurance, of course, the stars, the story of the NPFL this season. They set a landmark in the league after they ended their breached 2022-2023 league unbeaten last weekend. The Benin Arsenal, as they are fondly called, ended the 18-game regular season with a 1-1 draw against already relegated Nasarawa United in Jos on Sunday to top Group A with 34 points. Now, Remo Stars, Enyimba, and Sunshine Stars all picked the last available tickets for the Super 6 playoffs of their breach season following crucial wins on the final match day of the regular season. They were needing to win to book their place, Remo Stars, and they took their destiny as a matter of urgency in Ikene. They raced to a 4-0 lead at halftime thanks to goals from Andy Okpe, Shenwo Dosi, and a brace from Philip Odua. Daniel Ogumodede's side finished second in Group A with 33 points. You can see the logs on your screen right now. Enyimba were held to a goalless draw by Shooting Stars in Ibadan, but their superior goals difference was enough to get them over the line despite Akwa United's victory. They won by goal to nil against Gombe. United, the 8-time champions, finished third with 32 points with a goals difference of plus 13 compared to Akwa United, who had plus 10. In Akure, Social Stars picked the last Super 6 slot in Group B thanks to a 3-0 win over already relegated Dakada, although they also did need Abia Warriors to beat Doma United for them to secure their place in the Super 6. Rivers United and Lobby Stars, the other teams who complete the 6. We have Fisayo Dairo joining us this evening to touch light on what has been it has almost breezed by Fisayo this season because obviously, it's abridged. We've had 10 teams on both sides. They've tried to, normalize the calendar with European football, tried to get the transfer window aligned and all of that. But what it has meant is that we have seen fewer games this season, but it has not been short of excitement, Fisayo. Good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening to you, Wale. I'm so glad to be part of the show this evening. Yes, it's not been short of entertainment, like you said. The last time we had an abridged league, here in Nigeria was 2019. And of course, it was also as entertaining as this. And just like you reeled out, we've had some remarkable feats, such as the one Bendel Insurance recorded, going through the entire season without a defeat. Yes, it's just 18 matches, and that equaled the feat of Aqua United 2 years ago during a 38 game season. But for Bendel Insurance, there is nothing compared to the joy or to the pride of going through a whole season. This particular season was a little bit of a kickstart one, in the sense that, you know, a lot of, it's the first season of the IMC, so a lot of changes were promised. Officiating were fair to a large extent. A lot of teams won away. Not many teams were able to, you know, win all their home games. I don't think there's even any team in the division that won all their home games. So for Bendel Insurance to go through these 9 away matches without losing, 9 home matches without losing, that was fantastic. And of course, we also had Emeka Obioma of Enyimba scoring 14 goals. I remember vividly when we had that Abridged League in 2019, which was even 24 teams. That was 12 teams in each group, which means we had 20 matches played. The top scorers scored 10 goals each, Mfondudo and Ibrahim Sonusi of Nasarawa United. But here, in 18 matches, in fact, Obioma did not play all these matches. He did not even play against Shooting Stars on Sunday. He missed a couple more matches as well, and he scored 14 goals. That was remarkable. So these are some of the intrigues and some of the exciting stuff we had. Goalkeeper Kayode Bankole of Remo Stars, he was absolutely instrumental in his team getting that coveted spot in the Super Six playoff. And their away game to Plateau United, the penultimate game of the season, which they won 2-1. And that was a particular game in which Kayode Bankole stood tall, just like he does in many of their away games. I remember away to Enyimba in Aba, which they picked a point, 1-1. Away to Gombe United in Gombe, which Remo also won 1-0. Bankole was absolutely outstanding in those games. And these were some of the brilliant individual performers in this regular season.
You did mention Remo Stars and a goalkeeper who has been very good. One of the things I think I've noticed with abridged league systems is that it brings teams that maybe if the season had gone its full length, maybe it could have tailed off. For instance, imagine in the English Premier League, sorry to divert, if it ended at game week 25, Arsenal, of course, will be champions, right? So it means that, teams who, they just need to, go, in just a few weeks. And that's why we've seen, teams like, Remo Stars did have a good season last year, qualified for the
Even Sunshine Stars.
But that's where I was going to with Sunshine Stars. Just before the start of the season, there were stories about the Ondo State FA looking at avenues to sell the club, in fact. And now this is a club that is now in the Super Six, could be in contention potentially to be champions of the league and also to be back on the continent. It is one of the exciting aspects of abridged systems. Do you think maybe we should consider playing our league like this going forward?
It is tempting, really. We were discussing it in some forums as well, that especially the thoughts of this championship playoffs is also always very exciting. But, I would rather stay with our 38 game season. Look at the team showing on the screen, Aqua United as well. These are kind of teams that they did not particularly start the season well. They lost at home in the first match of the season. They drew their second match, and then fortunately they were able to win the third game, and they picked it up from there. Look at Rangers International of Enugu. They finished 8th in Group B, just above the two teams that got relegated. Why? Because Rangers are a team coached by Abdul Mekaba. Mekaba is a coach that, for whatever reasons, his teams never start the season well. But by the time they go on, they always tend to finish in the top 3. But this was an abridged league, and they had no chance to come back. So, yes, like I said, it's tempting to maintain this nature of unpredictability, and the consciousness of the abridged version goes into all the players, even the coaches. Teams will always drop points at home, but that fear of, oh, this is a bridge version, they press the panic button. Some of the things we've seen in the league, they are just because teams pressed unnecessary panic buttons. There was a time at the start of the second stanza, Enyimba drew their first two home matches, match day 10, match day 11. They drew the match day 12. They lost at Aqua United. Before you know it, a lot of people were calling on the head of the coach, Finidi George, and this. So that consciousness of this is a very short league. It also affects the players mentally. It's one thing I studied very well throughout the season. So that mental disturbance allowed a lot of teams to drop points at home. While they were trying to be extremely careful not to give things away, they gave it away. Aqua United tomorrow are crossing that 2-2 draw at home to Nasarawa United in their penultimate home match, the penultimate home match of the season. But that was what put pay to their ambitions. Look at Plateau United against Remo Stars that we mentioned earlier on. I went back to watch that game, and you could see Plateau United throwing it away just because of that extra consciousness that we need to win this game and go to the Super Six. Nobody just believes how they lost that game. So that's it. Like I said, it's tempting. But like I said in one of the forums today, I said, if we want entertainment, let us revamp our cup competitions. Let us do our cup competitions, whatever we want to do it. But for the league, please, let's leave it at that 38 game so that we get to see the best of matches week in, week out. And again, maybe the best of teams representing us in the continent. Many people could easily argue, okay.
Fisayo, again, based on everything that you said, right, with the extra edge, mentally, physically, that the Abridged League has brought to the game. You just mentioned the instance of Plateau United, the game against Remo Stars, where if there was more games, right, then maybe they wouldn't have approached the game the way they did that day. So don't you feel like with all the excitement you have described of this Abridged League, do you really think that a 38 game league will be more exciting than this? And also, just as a follow-up, as an addendum to that question, don't you think it's quite unfortunate that the way we're talking about the league, right, in the manner in which it has played, that it wasn't projected enough to people to see? Because we're talking about Ben Insurance going 18 games unbeaten, right? That should be one of the biggest stories in the sporting world over the next couple of weeks, right? You mentioned the fact that no team, or probably maybe no team, won all their home games. There's no team that didn't drop points at home. Even though it was an abridged league, we probably saw more away points this season than we have seen in more than 50% of the 38 game leagues in the last 10 years, right? Again, I understand the sentiment to keep it, to maintain the status quo, but everything you have said contradicts you saying we shouldn't keep it abridged.
I totally agree. That's why I said it is very tempting. And then again, to even buttress your points, I think even based on the Nigerian realities, the abridged league might really suit better because, our transportation system is a mess. So when you have the abridged version and you start on time, maybe let's say we start the next season by October, we get to space the league very well. Teams can travel to Gombe from Port Harcourt and come back and still have ample day. Okay, let me give an example of Enyimba. When Enyimba played against El Kanemi Warriors in Maiduguri, they played a game, a midweek game on Wednesday. No, they didn't play a midweek game. But okay, they had their last training about on Tuesday. They went to Maiduguri on Wednesday. I think they got there on Friday. Yes, on Friday night.
They left about on Wednesday and got to Maiduguri on Friday.
On Friday night, yes. So they only had a shake-up in like 1 hour. In fact, the weather was scorching on Saturday afternoon before the match on Sunday. Now, tell me, they didn't train on Wednesday. They didn't train on Thursday. They didn't train on Friday. Ahead of a crucial league game on Sunday. So the Saturday, just 1 hour, just to shake up in the on the pitch. So at the end of it, they won. But I was telling my friends that if Enyimba had not won that game, people would cast aspersions on the players that they were not up to it. But these players have missed 3 days of training. So now where I'm going is that yes, Abridge, one of my boss, many of us know him, Calvin Owuka, is part of the IMC. He was hugely in favor of this Abridge League. He's based in the UK, so he thinks it's inhumane to play a marathon league in Nigeria, especially because of the transport system. I tell you, from Port Harcourt, I travel to surrounding cities to cover games. It's never easy. Going to Abaye, I come back with body pains. It's imagine the player. So I agree. Like that's what I said. It's tempting. It's tempting, really. But if at all we are going to do the Abridge, we have to expand the number of teams. 10 is too small. I think like we had in 2019, when we had 12 teams in each group. Maybe that's much better. You have 20 teams. Then another proposition is the fact that we can have a regional one, North and South. Like South, we have all the teams around me here: Rivers, Enyimba, Rivers, Enyimba, Aqua United, Abia Warriors, Bielsa United, Atland FC of Owerri, then Southwest, Sunshine, Remo Stars, and maybe any more serious team. So just like 12 teams, Enugu Rangers, I didn't mention that. So we have 12 teams, and then the North, Plateau United, Lobby Stars, Kano Pillars, they promote, Gombe United, Doma United, Wikki Tourists, and so on. So 12 teams around that side. Maybe we will always have abundance of entertainment. No questions about that.
All right, so let's wait and see how it pans out. For me, I think that when you consider, you just touched on the logistics surrounding the league, not just for the players. So football is such a broad ecosystem. You as a journalist, for instance, you are experiencing those logistics problems, right? But there's nobody fighting for your right. I'm fighting for your right, right? So that you have to go all over the country. And like you suggested, if it's regional, then it does make sense. You go to the amateur leagues in some European countries, right? In England, in France, in Spain, it's grouped, in Germany especially, it's grouped based on, locations, right? And it has helped, many of these amateur, semi-professional clubs, whether we like it or not, right? We're still at a very semi-professional level in terms of where our clubs are at. So for me, I think that the Abridged League might just, make sense. But if they keep it 38, all well and good. Another advantage I was hoping you were going to mention with the Abridged League is the fact that, like you mentioned, our domestic cup competition, be it the Federation Cup, FA Cup, whatever nomenclature they choose to use, there hasn't been... One of the reasons I think it has died off is because there hasn't been enough time to even pay attention to it. In a 38-game season, in the Nigerian league, there's always stoppages. Is that they're stopping for election, or there's public holiday, or there's something must happen, right? But with an Abridged League system, you have a lot more weeks to play cup games in between, right? So for me, I think the Abridged League ticks a lot of boxes, financially for the clubs, physically for the players. But one last question before I let you go this evening, Fisayo. This season, which players have caught you? I know you've mentioned Kayode from Remo already. Which players have really caught your attention this season, apart from the big boys that we've known before, who have been doing it season in, season out? Can you just name a few players who have come into limelight this season and have lit up the NPFL?
Yeah, let me start with this Doma United striker, Charles Chibike. I can't really get my head around the number of goals he scored, but I know he scored a hat-trick in their last Federation Cup game in Abuja. They call him the new Osimhen. He's a handful, and he has an style like that of Victor Osimhen. He's Doma United's number 9, and it's one of the reasons they finished fourth in that group. They almost narrowly made it to the Super Six. So he's one of such players. And for teams like Bendel Insurance, now, yes, Imadeo Sarekoi tailed off in the second half of the season. but I think he has done it well, he has done enough in the first stanza to really show himself to the league. Many people thought it was his first league season, but no, he made his debut in that 2019 Abridged League season, during which Insurance got relegated at the end of it as well. So he was one of the story of the competition, scored a number of goals, very good player, I must say. And then when you look at teams coming to the Super Six now, for Sunshine Stars of Akure, they have a certain player called Ibrahim Yusuf. They call him the animal striker. Hopefully, we get to see him at the Super Six as well, because he got injured when they came to Port Harcourt last week. So he missed their last game on Sunday. Hopefully, he'll be fit. He also scored a number of goals to help the Owena Wales to that particular competition. But there are some young boys that came on board. Like for Aqua United, as a small boy, Wisdom Dawn, he joined from an NLO side midway through the season. And the second half of the season, he commanded the starting shirt in the heart of the defense. A teenager indeed, and it was exceptional for them. So these are some of the players, and of course, a lot of them are bound. For Lobby Stars, there is So Kumaga in his first season in the NPFL as well. He did so well that he also earned himself an invite to the under-23 team. So very good players there, and they also have theirs. Somiari Alalibo came to light, and also playing in the center of the defense for them. I don't want to mention Obioma because, of course, he was a top scorer. He's a top scorer, and everybody knows about him as well. But I'm sure by the time we get to the Super Six, some of these players that have had exceptional seasons have more reasons and more platform to further distinguish themselves, and then we can see them more. Unfortunately, just like you said, we have not made enough noise about this season. All the IMC has been particular about is making the noise about changing things, giving clubs money, but the players and the actors, the coaches, they have suffered in terms of non-adequate publicity.
All right, Fisayo, I'm sure that you will be in Lagos for the Super Six.
Definitely.
And the Super 8.
Yeah, hopefully.
The super competitions. All right, thank you very much, Fisayo Dairo, for joining us all the way from Port Harcourt this evening.
Thank you for having me, Wale.
Fantastic. Fisayo Dairo, of course, is a renowned sports journalist. He's the editor of ACL Sports, and of course, traveled far and wide, both around the world, but also pays close attention to the football on the domestic scene.